You've decided to go on a short-term missions trip. The first step you're going to take is to choose where you want to go. In this video, we will take you through the decision-making process in order to help you create and plan a trip that is best fit for you and your team. When deciding where to go, it is important to consider your passions, your connections and resources, and the need for your trip. We then will take you through the beginning steps of creating your trip proposal.
Planning a short-term mission trip, it's important to take into consideration 3 different things: your calling, your skills, and your passion. The first thing is your calling. Is there a specific place that you feel like the Lord is leading you to go to? Maybe a country or a people group. If so, then you need to be obedient to that calling and go where you feel like God is leading you. Secondly, what are your skills? What has God gifted you and your team with? Maybe it's the ability to work with your hands. Maybe it's a love of sports. Maybe it's a passion for kids. Maybe it's teaching. Whatever it is, make sure you're planning a trip that lets you use your skills to advance God's kingdom. Lastly is your passion. What are you passionate about? Are you passionate about Bible camps? Are you passionate about church planning? Are you passionate about bringing the gospel to people groups that have never heard the gospel before? Whatever it is, plan a mission trip around that passion. Your passion or your mission trip should include these 3 things. It should include your calling, your skills, and your passion. And maybe that'll lead you to do a VBS camp. Maybe it'll lead you to build a house for a village. Maybe it'll lead you into a remote village that has never heard the gospel before. But whatever it is, make sure you're including these 3 things when you plan your mission trip.
One key component that needs to be considered when you're thinking about where to go on your short-term missions trip is the need of the areas that you're considering. This will help in determining what kind of ministry you'll be doing while you're on your short-term missions trip. Some questions that you could ask include what kind of current events are going on in the areas you're looking at. Has there been any significant natural disasters, and would your team be partnering with any organizations or ministries to help with the relief? Are there any political issues that are going on in that area, and would your team be in any kind of danger going on that trip? Another thing you can do is to familiarize yourself with the area you're going to is do some general research about the worldviews and religions in the area and ask questions like, what are the common worldviews? What does the local Christian community or church look like, and how can you be partnering with them to continue to expand their ministry? And is there a significant demographic that needs attention, such as a high rate of orphans? These are just a few of the things you can look into when considering where to go on your short-term missions trip.
The next thing that you need to consider when planning your mission trip is where to go and the connections that there are. If you're planning a trip through your church, you should look at the missionaries or organization your church is currently supporting. If your church has a missions director or a pastor of missions, you can ask them about who the church supports. They can provide you with information on the area and the need for those the church supports. It is also likely that your church has missionaries in the congregation. They can also be a great source for this planning process. You also should consider any missionaries you know or personally support. Reach out to these missionaries to get an idea if they would be interested in a mission team joining them, or if they know of any other missionaries that are looking for a team. Word of mouth is a huge part of this process. Ask your friends, family, pastors, or congregation if they have any connections that could lead to potential mission trips. This networking can help you find a destination that matches up with your passions, and it also gives you a starting place for what need may be out there.
When finally proposing the trip, there are several different aspects that you should be sure of. Firstly, you should understand the location of where the mission trip is set. You should be well versed in the background of the planned city, as well as in the ministry you'll be partnering with in that city. What is the city like? What is the main focus of the partnering ministry in that city? Next, you must have a purpose for the mission trip at large. Why are you planning a mission trip to this exact location? What kind of need does this location find itself in? Having a written and planned purpose for your trip will help in the different directions you will take while on the field. Also, don't forget to pray about what God wants the purpose to be. As well as having a purpose set, you should also include information about the hosts of the trip. Who are they? What are they passionate about? Calling the missionaries on the field and writing up a short bio will be really helpful in understanding their hearts and mission. Also, don't forget to include the exact dates of your trip so that people actually know when you're going. Having the date set will also help in later budgeting and travel arrangement preparations. The last thing to know is that we have to have a good explanation of the main activities that we'll be doing on your trip. This will give the team and the sending entity some ideas as to why they should be, or how they should be praying and preparing. Are you going to be doing homeless outreach, building houses, evangelism? You don't need to plan out an exact schedule, but you should have some sort of